We live in interesting times. Today's stories. Business booms in house situated at the border of America and Canada due to COVID-19. Unveiling of 2 new enormous murals in Montreal set this summer. Foreign workers eligible for first dose of vaccine upon arrival at Montreal International Airport. Instructions for graduation ceremony activities during COVID-19 pandemic. Public health doctors say Canadian government has to change its immunization priorities. British Columbia reports fewer than 200 new COVID-19 cases for third consecutive day. Hello everyone, you're watching Eagle News Canada. I'm Marjorie Quintos, coming to you from Montreal, Quebec, bringing you stories from across the globe. The Canada-US border has been closed for more than a year now, but not for Quebecer Paul Maurice Patinod, who has been operating a parcel service from his house.
Moi, je vis dans ma maison. S'il faut que je me rapporte à chaque fois que je me promène d'un pays à l'autre, mais je vais passer ma vie dans une bâtisse, à l'autre bâtisse, à l'autre bâtisse, à l'autre bâtisse. Ça, c'est ma porte de livraison. Tu l'as vu? Hein? C'est mon côté américain. Toutes les livraisons se font par ici. Ici, je suis au Québec. Le Canadien, mon client qui vient chercher sa marchandise, il est au Canada. Quand sa marchandise est du côté américain, c'est ma maison. Je m'en vais aux États-Unis. Je prends son colis et je lui donne son colis. Il est au Canada. Il s'en va à la douane canadienne. Il n'est pas allé aux États-Unis. Certains produits ne sont pas livrés au Canada par le vendeur américain. Et ils ne livrent pas au Canada. Ça prend absolument une adresse américaine. Donc, ils peuvent faire venir ici du côté américain.
Mon gars, il joue au football américain, puis il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on n'est pas capable d'avoir au Canada. Il faut qu'on aille aux États-Unis pour les chercher.
Catherine Piché. Moi, je souhaite que la frontière ouvre. Si tu penses que je suis intéressé à qu'elle reste fermée pour augmenter ma clientèle, jamais. Jamais. C'est le moindre de mes désirs. Ottawa, ouvrez-les à la frontière.
Foreign workers arriving in Canada will be eligible for the first dose vaccine upon arrival at the Montreal Trudeau International Airport. Here's Eagle News correspondent Jill Sol-Merano for an update.
The Minister of Health and Social Services, Christian Dubé, the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food, André Lamontagne, as well as the Minister of International Relations and la Francophonie, and Minister of Immigration, Francisation, and Integration, Nadine Giraud, announced that an initiative has been put in place to offer a first dose of vaccine to temporary foreign workers upon their arrival on Canadian soil. This will allow foreign workers to get a first dose upon arrival at Montreal Trudeau International Airport, and then be offered a second dose in their host region later this summer. The Montreal Regional Public Health Department is responsible for welcoming the workers and providing them with the required information, such as documentation and explanatory video, so that they can make an informed decision. A team will also be deployed on site for each flight. Accessibility to vaccination is a determining factor, and since the start of this major vaccination operation, we have seen in the field a real desire on the part of companies to work in concert with the Health and Social Services Network to adapt the offer, says Christian Dubé, Minister of Health and Social Services. Since temporary foreign workers in agriculture are essential workers in settings at significant risk of outbreaks, it was essential to find a way to get them the vaccine quickly. Thousands of them will arrive in the coming weeks to lend a hand to the Quebec agri-food sector. Andre Lamontagne, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food, was delighted with the implementation of this initiative, which will allow the vaccination of temporary foreign workers upon their arrival in Quebec. Everything is in place to provide them with relevant information and facilitate the vaccination process, in particular through a translation system that will facilitate the registration and assessment of workers, says Nadine Giraud, Minister of International Relations and La Francophonie, and Minister of Immigration, Francisation, and Integration. 13 flights are expected during the month of June, and about 2,275 temporary foreign workers who will have the opportunity to be vaccinated. Jill Salmerano, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
In Ottawa, the Minister of Health presents instructions for graduation ceremony activities during the COVID-19 pandemic. Here's Eagle News correspondent Andre Lajoie with the details.
Following the recommendation of public health authorities, the Ministry of Health and Services presents the instruction to be observed during the graduation ceremonies and announced that, although proms are not allowed, activities that tend to mark the end of students, studies may be organized according to the confinement plan and in compliance with the health measures in force. However, those activities will be permitted as long as they take place in school and during school hours, indoors or outdoors on the facilities grounds. Only students and school personnel may be present, but the participation of the parents may be possible in a virtual mode or video capture to limit the possibilities of contact. The student will have to participate in it by being divided by bubble class, just as for taking a photo. If any graduation album signing activities take place, they should be conducted with due to regard for distancing. Reporting from Ottawa, Canada, this is Andre Lajoie. We live an interesting time.
Public health doctors say Canadian government has to change its immunization priorities. Eagle News correspondent Thomas Likeness with the report.
The country's chief medical officers of health say it's time to start fully vaccinating Canadians. Because of supply problems, the Canadian government has been delaying the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine for up to 4 months. That's instead of the 3 to 4 weeks recommended by the manufacturers. That strategy allowed the country to partially immunize about 60% of the population, but the number of fully immunized people hasn't even reached 6% yet. Doctors are saying while the first dose offers very good protection against COVID-19 infection, hospitalization, and death, a second shot is needed. Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Teresa Tam says no doubt about it, getting that second dose is essential.
While your first dose provides priming immunity, providing most of us with good protection, and reducing the likelihood of severe illness, the second dose is crucial for boosting our immune systems to build strong and longer-lasting immunity. We're on the right path to get back to the things that we miss. Let's keep going steady as we go and not let complacency hold us back from a safer summer sooner.
The doctors are saying the second dose should be done as soon as possible to prevent any further surges of COVID. And that should be doable. Canada's on target to receive millions of more doses of inoculant. And once those medicine cabinets are stocked up, experts say let's start jabbing those arms with the second shot as soon as possible. And they say give priority to those at the highest risk of severe illness and death. So once we have everyone inoculated with 2 doses, can we forget about what we've been doing in the past year? No, say the doctors. We will still need to adhere to whatever public health measures are in place, and we still need to take personal preventive measures. Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
British Columbia reports fewer than 200 new COVID-19 cases for the third consecutive day. Eagle News correspondent Vanessa Condi tells us more.
For 3 consecutive days, British Columbia has reported fewer than 200 new COVID-19 cases. This has been the first time since October. Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry has announced that in BC, 71.8% of adults over 18 have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, and 68.9% of those 12 and up. Earlier this week, the National Advisory Committee on Immunisation gave guidelines about mixing certain vaccine types.
But we now know from the work that we've received, as I mentioned, from the National Advisory Committee, the BC Immunization Committee, and the data that we've reviewed from around the world, that it is safe and effective to have a different vaccine if you need to. This approach is based on scientific evidence and the guidance of NACI and our BC Immunization Committee. So I know that our teams, our immunization teams across the province are doing their best to make sure that if you receive Pfizer for your first dose, you'll receive Pfizer for your second dose, or Moderna for your first dose and Moderna for your second dose. And this is interchangeability of the same type of vaccine, so the mRNA vaccines. What we do know that it is safe to have either one if that is needed. It's equally safe and works just as well to have either mRNA vaccine, and that's based on the data that we have now from experience around the world.
She has also mentioned that the time between dose 1 and dose 2 has been reduced to a minimum of 8 weeks. The success of the vaccine rollout is key to the reopening of the province. In Victoria, BC, Vanessa Condi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
2 new enormous murals to be unveiled in Montreal this summer. Here's Eagle News correspondent Stacey De Ocampo with more.
Murals have always been considered as a landmark in Montreal. We can call the city as a massive player in the street art world.
These murals are located in hidden alleys, high rooftops, or buildings downtown. These enormous, vibrant, and colorful works of art represent and showcase the diverse talents of our local artists. Not only that, but these arts are also filled with meaningful, touching, and interesting backstories. But why are there so many artistic murals all over the area? That's because the Quebec government has actively promoted street art since 1961 and has required public building projects to devote 1% of their budget to initiatives in art. Currently, there are 80 murals existing in Montreal, but it's 82 now since 2 new murals will be unveiled in one of the biggest street art festivals in the world this summer, the Mural Festival. These 2 ravishing new murals were by the artists Drew Young and Michelle Hugveld. Drew's mural is a huge purple iris, Quebec's native plant and floral emblem. It expresses a nod to the local students who are shaping the future. It will be painted on the site of the Hotel Méridien. Michelle's mural, wrapped around Le Germain Hotel, will depict a heart of hope with a light at its center. It aims to inspire a restore of normal life for hotels hit hard by the pandemic.
In Montreal, Stacey De Ocampo will live in interesting times.
Health ministers from the G7 group of wealthy nations meet in Britain to discuss sharing vaccines with poorer countries. as calls continue to ensure fair global distribution of doses.
In welcoming you, I want to say how critical a time it is for us to be having this meeting right now, with the need to both make sure we get through this pandemic as quickly and as effectively as possible, and also make sure that the world is better prepared for pandemics in the future, and including with the inevitable diseases that come from both from animal and health backgrounds, making sure that we have an early warning system.
The meeting in Oxford in southern England comes ahead of the next week's G7 summit, hosted by the United Kingdom, which is set to be dominated by discussion of the coronavirus pandemic and recovery plans. The G7 gathering is also set to focus on improving identification of animal-borne infections, given 3/5 of all infections jump from animals to humans. The Minister of Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United States vow to, quote, combat future health threats by working together to identify early warning signs from animals and the environment, unquote. The world's wealthiest countries face growing pressure to do more to help vaccines reach poorer countries which do not have enough stocks for comprehensive inoculation programs. The G7 countries are already committed to support the COVAX Global Vaccine Sharing Program.
Volunteer social worker Ashok Kurmi is helping an army of young fans fight coronavirus in Mumbai slums using an unusual accessory, a clown costume.
Dressed in a bright red clown suit complete with face paint and a rainbow-hued wig, the 37-year-old executive spends his days off disinfecting public spaces, distributing face masks, and spreading awareness about COVID-19. On a recent visit to India's largest slum, Dharavi, groups of children followed him chanting, "Joker, Joker," and offering their hands to be sanitized. With the help of visual aids and posters, Kurmi patiently showed them how to wash their hands and wear face masks correctly.
जो भी कुछ सारी चीज़ें हैं, सैनिटाइजेशन हो, मेरा ड्रेस, कॉस्ट्यूम हो, मेकअप हो, वो सारे जो लगने वाले खर्चे हैं, जैसा कि मैं एम्प्लॉयड हूँ एक फार्मास्यूटिकल कंपनी में, तो जो मेरा मंथली सैलरी में जो थोड़ा बहुत कुछ बचत होता है, उसमें से ही करके ये मैं कामों को करता हूँ। खासकर इसमें मेरा परिवार का और मेरे दोस्तों का सहयोग होता है। लगभग 1.5 साल पहले जो महामारी शुरू हुई, तो लगा कि कब खत्म हो गया, उसका कोई डेड एंड नहीं था, लेकिन धीरे धीरे समय बढ़ते जा रहा है। तो अलग अलग तरीकों के साथ जब तक ये महामारी अंत रूप में नहीं आती है, लोगों के बीच में इसी तरह जाकर उनकी सेवा करने का काम करते रहूँगा। और ये एज अ क्लाउन जो बना हूँ, ये लगभग 1 से 1.5 महीने तक का ये अलग अलग एरिया में जाकर, मुंबई के अलग अलग हिस्सों में जाकर ये मैं हेल्प करने का काम करते रहूँगा।
As Mumbai prepares for a third coronavirus wave, his efforts have become even more important. The pandemic has devastated India, infecting over 28 million people and killing more than 300,000. Despite the risks involved in visiting densely populated areas like Dharavi, Kurmi is undeterred.
Coming up, sports complex in BC will be renamed after a Canadian women's soccer player. Eagle News Canada returns after this.
Hi guys! Ako nga po pala si Jay Torres at abangan niyo po ako bilang guest performer sa Letters and Music ngayong darating na June 6, Linggo, 1 to 2 p.m. Siyempre dito lang sa Net25. See you po!
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced. Not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia.
Sa mga taga-Iloilo at Antique,
Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to thank our health outdoor
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News Canada. In sports, the city of Burnaby, British Columbia officially announces one of its newly purchased community centers would be renamed after Canadian biggest soccer star. Eagle News Sports correspondent Anthony Sevilla reports.
The city of Burnaby announced that the former 40th Center will be renamed the Christine Sinclair Center after Burnaby native and most successful soccer player to ever compete for Canada. Sinclair became the most prolific goal scorer in the history of international soccer on both the men's and women's side, with 186 goals in 297 games. 40th is one of the largest facilities in Canada, located in Burnaby, British Columbia. It was a privately operated training facility focused around Olympic and elite professional athletes from a vast list of sports, including the NBA's Toronto Raptors, who spent their preseason training camp there in 2018 and 2019. However, the operators announced its permanent closure at the end of 2020 due to financial problems they were experiencing during the COVID-19 pandemic. The city of Burnaby bought the facility for a reported 26 million Canadian dollars. The new plans will no longer be focused on elite athletes, but will be more community-oriented, with the idea to convert the facility into a community recreation center. The complex holds 2 gyms, fitness studios, a weight room, a FIFA standard turf pitch, and had served as a training site for Sinclair and the Canadian women's soccer team in past years. Sinclair was overjoyed by the recognition and couldn't imagine a better location. "I've been in this facility many times over the years and played on the turf fields," Sinclair said in a statement. "I look forward to seeing the next generation of athletes come through these doors." The 37-year-old Sinclair will continue adding to her astonishing resume and will be competing in her 4th Olympic Games in Tokyo this summer. Sinclair will once again serve as captain for the Canadian women's national team. Canada is the 2-time defending bronze medalist at the Olympics and are ranked 8th in the FIFA Women's World Rankings. In Vancouver, Anthony Sevilla, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
In this week's NBA playoffs action, we saw the Nets, Hawks, Nuggets, and Suns all advance to the second round. Here's Eagle News correspondent Penny Sumagi with the recap.
The Nets, Hawks, Sixers, Nuggets, and the Suns advanced to the second round of the NBA playoffs, thanks to epic performances from James Harden, Trae Young, Seth Curry, Nikola Jokic, and Devin Booker.
When I first got traded here, the excitement and the vision of us playing together, I think that's what we were missing the whole season. So I think that's what was more exciting we weren't even worried about the playoff run yet. We were just happy to be on the court together. So, I mean, it's great to get, one series out the way. And like I said, we'll take tomorrow off and we'll recoup and get ready for, a tough Milwaukee team.
For me, I saw a lot of focus. I saw a lot of determination. I saw a lot of, guys really locked in and focused on our mission. And our mission was to win the series. It wasn't to win the game. And for us, we had our goals and we had and what we had laid out in front of us, and we just we went out and did it. So I'm just happy we were able to finish the series.
For us to get the number one seed, we had to play well and win games without some of our best players. So we had to. I mean, we knew we had enough in that locker room. We knew the formula, the way we had to play to get it done. And tonight, everybody used everybody to get this win.
It was, like I said, I think it's just a team effort, really team basketball team. So I think that's the joy. Everybody's enjoying it, Even if we lose, we know we play as a team. So we lost altogether.
I mean, I was just locked in, Dwayne, to be completely honest, from when I woke up, I had a tough time taking my pregame nap, all out of excitement. I knew we treated this game like a game 7. We knew we had to come in and, we were stressing since we won the last game that, we wanted to end it here on their home court.
The Suns ousted the defending NBA champs, the Lakers, in 6 games on Thursday at Staples Center, marking the first time LeBron James lost a first-round playoff game in his NBA storied career.
All in all, I give my hats off to everyone on this team who showed up every day to work, showed up every day to compete, showed up every day to put in the time and effort, and obviously fell short of our goal, but try to do everything we could to be as good as we could be, as great as we could be under the circumstances. And also also want to, shout out Phoenix too, Monty Williams, Book, and that team. They were excellent throughout the series, all of them. So much respect.
Tune in to Eagle News for more highlights on the NBA playoffs throughout the month. In New York, Tenny Samagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
That's today's Eagle News Canada. Join us again next week as we bring stories that matter to you. Visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and on Facebook, facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I am Marjorie Quintos. We live in interesting times.